The world doesn't wait for you to be ready. The storm arrives without warning. The traffic that doesn't move, the hurtful comment, the bad news that shatters your plans into 1,000 pieces. And in that moment, everything inside you screams. The anger, the fear, the frustration, each emotion pushes to get out. But here's the question. Will you be the one to decide, or will you let chaos do it for you? Calm is not a privilege. It's a weapon, a brutal skill that few master. Not because it's impossible, but because it involves something many fear: taming one's own mind. The Stoics knew this. They didn't talk about avoiding storms, but about learning to navigate within them. While the rest drown, they float. While others curse the wind, they adjust the sails. And now, it's your turn. In this video, I'm not going to give you nice phrases to make you feel better for a while. No, I'm going to show you 9 real lessons. Tips that come from the rawness of life, not from fairy tales. You're going to learn to face what hurts you, to breathe when your chest tightens, and to walk firmly even when everything around you is falling apart. So get ready, because this is not another empty speech about thinking positive. This is about training your mind so that when life challenges you, and it will, your response is unshakable. Let's get started. 1. Breathe as if your calm depended on it. Most people believe that breathing is an automatic act, something so natural that it doesn't deserve our attention. But there lies the mistake. Because when emotions take control, breathing becomes a reflection of our mind. Anger accelerates the pulse. Fear makes it choppy. Anxiety turns it erratic. And without even realizing it, each disordered breath feeds those emotions even more. But what not many know is that this cycle can be broken. Because just as the mind controls breathing, the reverse also happens. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, spoke of the power of serenity amidst chaos. Epictetus taught that we do not control external events, but we do control our reaction to them. And breathing, although it may seem simple, is one of the most powerful tools to exert that control. Inhale deeply. Fill your lungs and feel how the air calms the fire within you. Then, exhale slowly. Let each exhalation take away a part of your agitation. This is not mysticism, it's science. Conscious breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing heart rate and signaling to your body that there is no immediate danger. When you feel that rage or fear dominate you, don't fight against them as if they were an enemy. Instead, pause, breathe. 4 seconds to inhale, 4 to hold, and 4 to exhale. Repeat. And you will notice how what once seemed unbearable begins to lose strength. But the key is in practice. Don't wait for the next moment of crisis to try it. Train your breathing every day. Dedicate minutes to feel the air coming in and out. Do it in calm, so that when the storm comes, your body already knows what to do. The mind follows the body follows the breath. The Stoics not only spoke of enduring pain or facing adversity bravely, they spoke of remaining serene amidst it. Because true strength is not shouting louder or imposing oneself with rage. It is looking directly at what challenges you, breathing and responding with clarity and control. So the next time life hits you and you feel the storm within you, remember this: breathe as if your calm depended on it, because it does. 2. Dance with the storms before they arrive. Waiting for the storm to surprise you to decide how to act is a mistake. This is how most are left at the mercy of chaos. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. For them, calm was not a matter of luck or temperament. It was the direct result of preparation. It's not about fearing the storm. It's about anticipating it. Each day brings challenges, and believing that everything will be fine only leaves you vulnerable. Imagine it as a fighter who never trains and steps into the ring relying on luck. How long do you think he will stand? Now imagine the opposite. Someone who knows their weaknesses, who visualizes the punches, who understands that they cannot avoid the fight, but they can face it with strategy. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, visualizing the worst scenarios before they happen, not to live in fear, but to disarm it. Anticipating is not giving in to pessimism, it is taking control. When you imagine the obstacles, your mind prepares. It doesn't take you by surprise, and when the inevitable comes, it's not as devastating as it would be for someone who never considered it possible. Epictetus made it clear. It's not what happens to you that destroys you, but your interpretation of it. If you only hope that everything goes in your favor, every detour crushes you. But if your mind has already walked those dark paths, when the storm comes, you will not find yourself defenseless. You won't be begging for answers. You'll have them. Practicing the art of anticipation is brutally simple and effective. Upon waking, think about what could go wrong in your day. The delay at work, an unexpected argument, the bad news you didn't see coming. Instead of avoiding these thoughts, confront them. What would you do if they occurred? How would you react? Visualize the worst scenario and watch how your mind, instead of becoming agitated, begins to find solutions. By doing this, you stop being a victim of fear. You are the one who decides. The Stoics did not run from discomfort. They sought it. They walked in humble clothes on days of abundance to remember that wealth is fragile. They slept on hard floors to not fear the loss of comfort. They knew that true preparation does not only occur in the mind, but also in the body. Voluntarily submitting to discomfort hardens you. Each small storm faced turns you into someone who not only survives chaos, but thrives in it. It's not about living expecting the worst. It's about training your mind not to falter when it comes. Calm is not found by praying for clear skies. It is built under the densest clouds. When fear whispers to you that you can't handle what's coming, respond with certainty. I've been here before. Dance with the storm before it arrives. Because when you do, you'll discover that it's not as fierce as it seemed. And if it is, it won't matter anymore. You will be too. 3. Let go of the reins of the uncontrollable. Clenching your teeth, tightening your fists, and believing that everything can be under control is a dangerous illusion. Most people live under this lie, convinced that if they try hard enough, they will avoid life's unexpected turns. But reality doesn't work that way. Death comes without warning. Rejection appears for no apparent reason. The most solid plans crumble. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't waste energy fighting against what they couldn't change. Instead, they distinguished with brutal clarity between what was in their hands and what was not. Epictetus said, "Some things are under our control, and others are not." Serenity comes from knowing the difference. Ask yourself this: how many times have you consumed yourself over something that was never in your power? The hurtful comment from someone else, the traffic that makes you late, the illness that arrives without warning. And even knowing that you can't control it, you get caught up in the anger, as if that could reverse it. It's like trying to stop a storm with your hands. While you scream and fight against the wind, you only manage to exhaust yourself. But if instead of resisting, you accept that the wind exists and let it pass, something changes. It's not resignation, it's intelligence. Because by letting go of the uncontrollable, you free up space for what you can influence, your reaction. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every day. As Emperor of Rome, he faced betrayals, wars, and plagues. But he never allowed despair to defeat him. His constant question was simple: does this depend on me or not? If the answer was no, then it wasn't worth wearing himself out. If the answer was yes, then he acted with all his power. This doesn't mean that you should remain indifferent to life. It means that you should direct your energy with precision. If you lose a job, you can't control the decision that led you there, but you can control how you prepare for what's next. If a relationship ends, you can't force someone to stay, but you can learn from what happened. If your health is affected, you can't turn back time, but you can decide to take better care of yourself from now on. Every time frustration hits you, ask yourself, can I do something about it? If the answer is no, then let it go. But if the answer is yes, act with determination. Because that's what it really means to have control. Not to manipulate the universe at your whim, but to handle firmly what truly belongs to you. Your thoughts, your decisions, your attitude. Freeing yourself from the need to control everything doesn't weaken you. It makes you invincible. Because when you no longer fear what is out of your reach, you become immune to fear. Life can do whatever it wants. So can you. Let go of the reins of the uncontrollable. Because by doing so, you will finally have in your hands the only thing that was always yours, yourself. 4. Talk to your mind before the world does. If you don't speak to your own mind, someone else will do it for you. And don't fool yourself. The world is usually not kind when it whispers in your ear. It will tell you that you are not enough, that you need more to be worth something, that every mistake is proof of your failure. And if you don't have the courage to face that inner voice, you'll end up believing it. Every day, you are surrounded by opinions disguised as truths. They compare you, criticize you, impose standards on you, and if you haven't built your own voice, those foreign words become your reality. Like a leaf carried by the wind, you go from one side to the other, not really knowing where you belong. But here comes the difference. Some accept that fate, others do not. Some decide to sit with their own mind and ask, where does this thought come from? Is it mine, or is it a shadow of what others want me to believe? That's where real control begins, not by closing your eyes and pretending the noise doesn't exist, but by challenging it, dissecting it, putting it under the microscope without fear. Imagine you fail at something important. Before the world condemns you, you do it yourself. The voice in your head calls you useless, reminds you of every past stumble, assures you that nothing will change. But have you ever responded to that voice? Have you ever told it, so what if I failed? Does that define me? Does that erase my ability to try again? That internal conversation is your shield. Without it, any foreign word will pierce you. And it's not something that happens overnight. The mind is not tamed with empty speeches. It is trained with practice. Every time an invasive thought arises, question it. Don't take it as truth just because it appeared. Ask yourself, does this benefit me or weaken me? Is it a fact or just an interpretation? That pause gives you back control, because whoever can observe their own thoughts without being dominated by them is the one who truly governs their mind. Talking to yourself is not a sign of madness. The real madness is not doing it. If you don't build a conscious internal dialogue, the world will take care of doing it for you. Every criticism, every judgmental look, every expectation you don't meet will become a permanent sentence. But when you have the courage to face your own mind, external words lose strength. They no longer shape you. They challenge you, but they don't define you. So the next time doubt attacks you or fear tries to corner you, don't be silent. Ask, answer, challenge. Stand firm in that internal conversation, because that's where it's decided whether the world will have power over you or if you will be the one to take the reins. Talk to your mind before the world does, because whoever masters their internal dialogue does not fear external noise. 5. Let death whisper in your ear. Talking about death is uncomfortable. Most people prefer to dodge it, pretend it doesn't exist, or relegate it to a dark corner of the mind. But ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. On the contrary, it turns it into a silent fear that lurks behind every decision. Every time you postpone what's important, every time you drown in trivial worries, it's because deep down you believe you have plenty of time. But what if you didn't? It's not about living in paranoia. It's about remembering what's at stake. Every second that passes is a second that won't return. Every conversation could be the last. Every step you take inevitably brings you closer to the end. Pretending otherwise only numbs you, robbing you of the urgency to live with intensity and purpose. Letting death whisper in your ear doesn't mean living in fear. It means waking up. It's understanding that each day is alone and that time doesn't ask if you're making the most of it before snatching it away. It's asking yourself, does what I'm doing right now really matter? If this were my last day, would I feel at peace with how I lived it? If the answer is no, then something needs to change. When you remember that you're mortal, excuses lose their power. The fear of failure becomes an insignificant nonsense compared to the real failure, not having tried. The opinion of others crumbles, because in the end, no one will remember the superficial judgments that worried you so much. The only thing that will remain is what you did, what you chose to be, and the impact you left. Every time you postpone an important conversation out of pride, remember that unsaid words turn into regrets. Every time you allow fear to paralyze you, think about how many more opportunities you'll be letting go. Every time you waste time on trivialities, ask yourself if you really want to spend your life like this. Living with death in mind is not living in despair. It's living with clarity. It frees you from the weight of the irrelevant and forces you to focus on the essential. When you understand that all you have is this moment, you discover a strength you didn't know. There's no room for procrastination or regrets. There's action, there's courage, there's truth. And when that whisper of death becomes louder, don't fear it, thank it. Because without that constant reminder, you could spend a whole life without really living. But you're not one of those who run away. You're one of those who listen, who face. And while the rest look the other way, you'll lift your head and respond with every decision you make. Let death whisper in your ear, not as a threat, but as a call to wake up. Because when you accept that one day you'll die, you finally start to live. 6. Be silent before the noise decides for you. The world screams. Every notification, every alarming news, every voice demanding your attention. And without realizing it, that noise becomes the soundtrack of your mind. But the worst is not the external noise. The worst is when that noise stays inside, when other people's opinions, worries, and judgments take over your thinking. It's easy to get carried away. We live in a time where silence is almost a luxury. There are those who can't stand it, as if the void of doing nothing forces them to face what they truly feel. So, they fill every second with distractions, loud music, flashing screens, meaningless conversations. But at the end of the day, when everything turns off, what remains is the inevitable, themselves. And that encounter, without noise to hide it, can be terrifying. Being silent doesn't mean escaping from the world. It means facing it without intermediaries. When you allow yourself to be alone with you, the external voices fade away, and the only thing left is the truth. It can be uncomfortable. It can show you fears and doubts that you've tried to ignore. But it's in that space where clarity arises. Silence is a mirror. It shows you who you are when no one else is watching. It forces you to question yourself, to listen to what you really feel and think, without the noise deciding for you. That's why many people fear silence, because listening to themselves means recognizing what's wrong. But if you don't have the courage to face it, how do you expect to solve it? Every day, you are bombarded with information that seeks to shape your way of thinking. They tell you what to desire, what to fear, who to admire. But if you never stop to ask yourself what you really want, you end up living a borrowed life. Silence breaks that cycle, not as a meaningless pause, but as a brutally effective tool to regain control. When you feel lost, be silent. Don't look for answers in the noise. If you are offended, before reacting, be silent. Listen to what you feel and ask yourself if that emotion deserves your energy. If fear invades you, be silent. Allow yourself to observe it without running away. You'll see that most of the time, fear feeds on noise, not reality. The most important decisions are not born from impulse. They are born from silence. In that space between stimulus and response is where your true power resides. Whoever masters the art of silence does not react like a puppet to the noise of the world. They decide with intention. They act with clarity. But silence is not something that simply happens. It is trained. Dedicate moments of the day to disconnect. Turn off the phone. Close your eyes. Listen to your breathing. Don't wait for the noise to exhaust you to seek calm. Make silence a habit, an unbreakable practice that reminds you who is really in charge. And when the world tries to drag you into its chaos, you will remember what others have forgotten. You don't need to scream to be strong. You don't need to react to every provocation. Because whoever knows how to be silent never loses control. Be silent before the noise decides for you. Because in that silence, you will find the answers that the noise will never give you. 7. Listen as if the other's soul is speaking to you. Truly listening is a rare act, not because people don't speak, but because most don't know how to do it. While someone is speaking to you, it's most common that your mind is already fabricating a response, rummaging for arguments, or preparing a defense. You think you're participating in a conversation, but in reality, you're just waiting for your turn to speak. Listening is not just hearing words, it's understanding what is not said, what hides behind the tone, the pauses, the glances. It's giving space to the other to fully exist without interrupting them, without rushing them. And when you manage to do it, you not only understand the other person, you understand yourself. Every conversation is a mirror. The way you listen reveals what you have inside. If silence makes you uncomfortable, it's because you're terrified of what you might hear. If you respond with anger before understanding, it's because your own conflicts are in command. But if you can set aside your need to be right, something changes. Listening becomes an exercise in humility. For the Stoics, listening was an act of discipline, not because they feared others' words, but because they understood that every opinion, even the most absurd, had something to teach. If someone insults you, it's not the word itself that affects you, but what you decide to do with it. If someone praises you, it's not the compliment that defines you, but your own perception of yourself. In both cases, the key is the same. Listen, but don't let yourself be possessed by the words. But this doesn't mean you should endure everything in silence. It means that, before responding, you allow yourself to understand. You don't interrupt to correct. You don't think about your next sentence while the other is speaking. You just listen. And in that act of absolute presence, something powerful happens. The other feels that their existence matters, because being truly heard is one of the deepest recognitions someone can receive. Think about how many arguments could be avoided if, instead of seeking to win, we sought to understand. How many relationships could heal if, for a moment, we abandoned the need to defend ourselves and simply gave space to the other? You don't have to agree to listen. You also don't need to accept what they tell you as an absolute truth. But by listening without prejudice, without the urgency to impose your vision, something happens. Tensions dissolve. Understanding is born. And it's not just about deep conversations. Even in everyday life, when someone tells you something trivial or repeats a story you already know, you have a choice. You can pretend to listen while your mind wanders, or you can be truly present. Because for the other person, that moment could be more important than you imagine. Give it a try. The next time someone speaks to you, resist the urge to interrupt. Observe not only their words, but also their gestures, their emotions. Ask yourself, what's behind what they're telling you? And when you respond, do it from understanding, not from the need to impose your point. You'll see how the dynamic changes. The conversation stops being a battlefield and becomes a space for real connection. Listening doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful. Because whoever knows how to listen understands what others ignore, and whoever understands chooses their words precisely without wasting energy on useless debates. So the next time the noise of the world invites you to react, choose the opposite. Be silent. Listen. And when you speak, let your words carry the weight of someone who understands what really matters. Listen as if the other's soul is speaking to you, because sometimes that's exactly what it's doing. 8. Make peace with the inevitable. Most people live as if life were infinite. They postpone important decisions, avoid uncomfortable conversations, and remain trapped in routines they despise. They believe there will always be another day, another opportunity, another perfect moment. But sooner or later, reality hits. And when it does, complaints and regrets are of no use. The inevitable will come. Loss, pain, disappointment. You can ignore it, run away, or distract yourself, but none of that will change the fate that awaits you. And it's not about living in fear or resignation. It's about preparing yourself, because whoever makes peace with the inevitable stops being a slave to fear. They no longer waste energy resisting what they cannot control. Instead, they find freedom in acceptance. Accepting is not the same as giving up. Giving up is lowering your head and letting life run you over. Accepting, on the other hand, is raising it and facing what's coming head-on. It's saying, "This is what it is. I didn't choose it, but I do choose how I'm going to face it." Every time you lose something or someone, the pain reminds you of what it meant to you. And that's where you have a choice. You can get stuck in anger and denial, or you can allow that pain to transform you. Because losses not only take away, they also teach. They show you how fragile everything is and push you to value what you still have. The same goes for failure. You can spend your life cursing mistakes or understand that each fall is a lesson in disguise. It doesn't matter how many times you've been wrong. The only thing that matters is what you decide to do with it. Every inevitable blow has the potential to make you stronger, wiser, more aware. But that only happens if you dare to face it. And then there's the greatest of all certainties: death. Most fear it because they don't want to accept it. But the more you reject it, the more control it has over you. It paralyzes you. It makes you live halfway, as if protecting yourself from death meant avoiding life. But it doesn't work like that. Making peace with death doesn't mean wishing for it, but recognizing it, understanding that it's part of the deal. And instead of letting that thought weaken you, let it awaken you. When you know your time is limited, every day takes on a different weight. You stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You learn to say no without guilt. You take more risks. You love more intensely. Because you understand that there are no guarantees, only this moment. Making peace with the inevitable also means giving up the illusion of control. No matter how much you plan or strive, there will always be unforeseen events. Life doesn't follow a script. You may lose someone you love, your health may falter, or a dream may crumble. And although that hurts, the worst thing you can do is resist reality. Because the more you cling to how things should be, the more you suffer. But when you accept what is, you find space to adapt, to learn, and move on. Every inevitable challenge is an opportunity to redefine yourself. You are not what happens to you. You are what you do with it. And the sooner you understand this, the lighter you will walk. Life will continue to put obstacles in your path. But instead of cursing them, you can thank them for what they teach you. Because difficult moments don't take away your value, they reveal it. So stop waiting for everything to be perfect. It won't be. Stop fearing the inevitable. It will come, whether you want it or not. But when it does, let it find you with your head held high, without fear, without regrets, only with the certainty that whatever happens, you will be ready to face it. Make peace with the inevitable, because when you do, you discover the freedom to live without fear. 9. Turn every blow into a lesson. Every blow hurts. No matter how strong you think you are, when life decides to hit you, you feel it. A humiliating failure, an unexpected betrayal, the loss of something or someone you took for granted. And in that instant, the pain consumes you. You want to run away. You want to scream. You want to find someone to blame. But this is where you define who you are. Because the blows are not what destroy you. What really destroys you is what you decide to do with them. You can let the pain turn you into a victim, wallow in self-pity, and repeat over and over how unfair life is. Or you can do something different. You can learn. Every blow holds a lesson, but not everyone is willing to see it. Because learning hurts. It hurts to admit that you were wrong, that you made a bad decision, or that you ignored the signs. It hurts to acknowledge that you put your trust in someone who didn't deserve it, or that you underestimated the consequences of your actions. But that pain is precisely what makes you grow. If you face it, if you disarm it, and observe what it has to teach you, you come out the other side with a clarity you didn't have before. This is not about justifying suffering. There are blows that come without apparent reason, tragedies that nobody deserves. But even in those circumstances, you have a choice. You can let the pain consume you, or you can use it as fuel, not for revenge, not to show the world how strong you are, but to truly strengthen yourself. Every mistake is a teacher. Every fall shows you where your weaknesses were. If you took a risk and failed, now you know what didn't work. If you trusted and were betrayed, you learned to read people better. If you lost what you loved, you understood the value of every moment. Pain, when faced with courage, leaves you something that no victory can give you: wisdom. But learning is not automatic. There are those who receive blow after blow and do not change. They cling to bitterness, convinced that the world is against them. Others, on the other hand, ask questions. What can I learn from this? What part of me needs to grow? How can I avoid making the same mistake? These are the questions that transform wounds into scars with a story. And don't think this means you should accept every blow with a smile. Feeling pain is okay. Screaming, crying, getting frustrated. All of this is part of the process. But once the pain settles, once the dust settles, look around and ask the question that really matters. And now what? Because that's where your real power lies. Every time life hits you, remember this: it doesn't matter how strong the impact was. What matters is how you get up. And every time you do, you'll be a little stronger, a little wiser. With every blow, your ability to face whatever comes will increase. Not because the pain disappears, but because you have learned to face it without fear. Turn every blow into a lesson. Because in the end, it's not the scars that define you, but what you learned while earning them.
Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.